Welcome back. All right, so 14 games tonight. 14. I also looked ahead to Friday's schedule. I thought, well, there's 13 on Friday. So what they've done is they've scheduled it so it starts at 10 o'clock in the morning my time, and the games will run till 10 o'clock at night my time, and there is no break between games. So I have no idea how I'm going to run Friday, because I don't like the idea of the 12 hours straight of hockey, and I mean, I'll do my best to, because then again, I don't like having the 10 a.m. game, having that review posted at like 11 o'clock at night with all the others. So anyways, I'll do my best, but tomorrow is a day off from hockey, which means I'll probably just make some content that posts on Friday, because I'm going to be watching hockey all day on Friday. So that's probably what's going to happen. I'll just make extra stuff tomorrow. All right, let's start things off with Boston and Buffalo. First out of 14 games. I'd like to thank the Boston Bruins for making it so that this was the game that I did not have to pay really much attention to after the first period at all. It was Swayman versus Dell. Early shots for both. Hall gets booed when he touches the puck. That's standard in Buffalo right now. We get a power play for the Sabres. Bruins didn't let him set up. It gets killed off. The shots were 8-7 for the Bruins at the half. Okposo scores shortly after the half at 10:56 from Asplund. So it makes it 1-0 Buffalo. And I thought, hey, so maybe Buffalo's, going to have a chance. No. Bergeron scores from Marchand and Pastrnak at 13:29. Coyle then scores at 14:20 unassisted. Pastrnak fires one wide. The Bruins then get a power play and they score on it. At 16:59, it's Pastrnak on the power play from McAvoy and Bergeron. So Bergeron with a goal and an assist. And yeah, so that makes it 3-1. And then before the period's out at 19 minutes, Riley scores from Foligno and Sporil. It's 4-1 after one. And at that point I went, this is probably done then. Second period was a good start for the Sabres. In fact, 8 minutes in, the shots were 9-2. It's just Swayman was saying no. Swayman had a good game. He doesn't get one of the stars tonight, but he had a good game. I don't know that he needed a bounce back from the last game that was a loss, but it's nice to see him play well tonight. Third period, there was a press by the Sabres at 2 minutes, but the shots are 5-0 for the Bruins at 3 minutes. Bruins press again at 7.5. Tokarski was good. He ends up coming in after Dell had allowed the 4 goals. So he was good. And then Girgensons takes a 5-minute and a game for boarding. So we'll see if anything comes out of that for Girgensons from Department of Player Safety. But Boston scores during the 5-minute major. Just the 1 goal, Taylor Hall, from Smith and Coyle at 15:26. Boston wins this one 5-1. They go to 10-6 on the season. For the Buffalo Sabres, they drop to 7-10-2. Your 3 stars are Bergeron, Pastrnak, and Foligno. The shots are 22-8 for Boston in the first, 14-7 Buffalo in the second, 18-3 Boston in the third. So it's really a tale of 3 different games here. Final shots 47-25 for Boston. Power plays 2 for 3 for Boston, 0 for 1 for Buffalo. Hits are 27-18 for Boston, so they out-hit him and outshot him. Swayman saves 24 out of 25. Dell saves 18 out of 22. Tokarski saved 24 out of 25. So that's the good takeaway here if you're a Sabres fan, is Tokarski played pretty well in relief, but Boston wins this one going away 5-1. So they're really up in this rivalry with Buffalo this year. They've now beaten them twice in 2 meetings. We'll see what happens in the next one. Next up, Florida at home against Philly. Philly played much better tonight, and yet they don't end up getting the result that they wanted. Jones was very good tonight. He's up against Bobrovsky. Bobrovsky also solid play. So Florida comes into this one 10-0 at home, and they'd scored 4 or more goals in every single game. They do not get 4 goals tonight. A good start for the Panthers. Philadelphia looked flat, and in the back of my mind, I'm like, this looks a lot like the Tampa game. But they would start to pick it up. The shots were 4-1 for the Panthers at 5 minutes. Duclair whiffs on a one-timer. And then, during a bad line change by the Florida Panthers, there's a breakaway goal. Farabee from Konechny and Provorov at 7:33. The shots even up. The Flyers are improving. The Flyers get a power play. There's a shorthanded post for Lomberg. It's killed off. Things are getting chippy here. Some fight from the Flyers. This is what you want to see, right? After that Tampa game, you want to see some fight back. The Panthers press with a minute and a half left, but it's 1-0 for the Flyers after one. Second period, McEwen wants to fight with Weegar. Weegar wisely says, no thank you, I'll not do that. And so he doesn't. Good start for the Flyers. Thornton had a chance that was saved. There's a press then by the Flyers. Lundell defends that, and then Lundell takes it all the way down the ice, gives it to Reinhart. Reinhart's denied by Jones. Pressed by the Flyers with 9.5 minutes left. Things get kind of scrummy. JVR couldn't bury one in the final minute. Van Riemsdyk continues to be cold. Closing seconds, Panthers getting shots, but it's still 1-0 for Philadelphia going into the third. Third period, early press by the Panthers. I will say this for Florida, they don't alter their game plan. They keep playing their game. They're aware they're going to get goals. It's fun to watch. Montour had a slapper that was saved. Power play for the Panthers. They score on it. It's Bennett from Duclair and Ekblad at 3:59. We then get 2 minutes of 4-on-4 after that. Forsling had a chance that was saved. Panthers pressing. Lundell couldn't bury an opportunity. Verhaeghe's then robbed, and the 4-on-4 comes to an end. So that 4-on-4 really favored Florida quite a bit. Rushes both ways with 7 minutes left. Bennett nearly gets his second of the game. Couturier had a tip shot saved as the Flyers were pressing back. 3:29 left. Provorov with one of the dumbest penalties I've seen. And it's after the whistle and just a cross check. And it's like, what are you doing? It's a tie game. Your team needs this game, and you're throwing a cross check with 3:29 left right in front of the ref. So really, he's fortunate that the Flyers did kill it off, and they got a rush chance after it was killed. We go to overtime. So Philly gets it into overtime. Panthers controlling the faceoff. Huberdeau couldn't bury one. Atkinson has a breakaway, hits the post. It doesn't bank in off of Bobrovsky. It's Ekblad scoring from Huberdeau and Bennett at 2:39. Florida survives a bit of a scare, 2-1 in overtime. They go to 14-2-3 for Philadelphia. They're 8-6-4 with the overtime loss. So your three stars are Ekblad, Bobrovsky, and Jones. Shots 16-14 Florida in the first, 10-9 Florida in the second, 12-10 Florida in the third. In the overtime, 7-0 because Atkinson hit the post. So would have been 7-1, but it's 7-0. Poor Jones. Final shots 45-33 for Florida. Power plays 0 for 2 for Philly, 1 for 2 for Florida. Hits 28-15 for Philly. Jones saves 43 out of 45. Very good start. And Bobrovsky, 32 saves on 33 shots. Not too bad himself, so that's why they're 2 of the 3 stars. And Ekblad, your game winner, is the other star of the game. I like that. So, next up. All right, so this is the game that ticked me off tonight. So, the second board, I did not do the actual numbers underneath the games. I didn't do the number under this game either. Because of this game starting at least 20 minutes after the other ones, it threw off my boards tonight. It threw off all of it. And it left me to the point where Yvonne came down and was like, do you need any help? And I'm like, yeah. Because honestly, I had like 4 different boards going. I'm not able to get all the numbers on this one, so I can put this one aside. It was frustrating because all the 7 o'clock games are starting while this one's still finishing up. So it's Talbot versus Blackwood eventually. Early control to the Devils. The Wild get a power play. That's killed off. Again, if this one was starting at 4:30, that'd be fine. I would have put this game on the board behind. But there were already 4 o'clock starts that were going on that. So anyways, THG problems. Wild, with that power play, is killed off. The Devils then get a turn. Becomes a 4-on-4 for 47 seconds. It's all killed off. The shots are 10-5 for the Devils at the half because Talbot is the star to this point. Subban had a shot that was saved as the Devils press. And then at 12:10, Hartman scores from Kulikov. Hartman, I believe that's his 10th of the season. And it was against the flow of play, admittedly. New Jersey was the better team, and Minnesota gets the goal there. Tatar nearly answers. Late power play then for the Devils. And there was a shorthanded goal by Sturm during that power play from Goudreau and Dumba at 19:06. So Minnesota comes out of this period outshot badly, and yet they're ahead. Second period, Mercer had an early chance that was saved. Huge saves by Talbot at around the 5.5 minute mark. Goudreau couldn't bury one. The Wild pressed back. Power play for the Wild. That was unsuccessful. Pitlick breaks up a Devils press. The Devils went over 10 minutes in between shots during that period as well. The Wild weren't giving any room in the middle. And we go to the third period with the Wild still up 2-0. But not for long. At 3:08, Zacha scores from Heischer. The Wild then pressed at 5 minutes. The Devils get a power play. Then they had a 5-on-3 for 1 minute and 8 seconds. New Jersey calls the timeout. and Talbot was fantastic. Talbot was a world beater on that one. Heischer, Eriksson Ek then go off for roughing. The 5-on-3 was killed off nicely, so that was a really solid penalty kill. So they pulled the goaltender, did the New Jersey Devils, and no sooner had they pulled the goalie and they score. Sharon Govich from Heischer and Brad at 18:53. New Jersey forces overtime. In the overtime, there was a post for the Devils. Sharon Govich had a shot that was saved. Mercer had some magic there. It wouldn't go. Goligoski saves a goal. Kaprizov with a chance that was saved. And Blackwood saves on Foligno. So this game goes to a shootout. Remember, I need this game to be finished because all the late games are starting because this game started late. So, yeah. Fiala ends up getting the winner in the shootout, as Yvonne wrote there, and her rating is neater than mine. So Minnesota comes out of this one with the shootout victory, 3-2. They go to 12-6-1. New Jersey drops to 8-5-4 with the shootout loss. Your 3 stars are Fiala, Heischer, and Talbot. Your shots: 13-7 Minnesota in the first, 13-6 for New Jersey in the second, 7-4 in favor of Minnesota in the third. 13-7 Minnesota in the third. In the overtime, New Jersey outshoots them 4-1. Your power plays: 0-3 for Minnesota, 0-4 for New Jersey. The hits were 35-27 in favor of the Minnesota Wild. Talbot saves 40 out of 42. Blackwood saves 25 out of 27. And the game finally finished. Anyhow, yeah, it was kind of blue. Anyways, the language. So, Vancouver in against Pittsburgh. And I can't wait for Friday. Vancouver in against Pittsburgh, and I didn't expect anything out of this. I know there are still Canuck fans who are clinging to the idea that maybe they can turn it around, and maybe. I am at this point where I'm like, you know what? It has to be bad. The record has to be miserable in order for us to see the kind of change that I think this organization needs. And I don't know. Do they need to just blow it up? So it was Demko versus Jari. There was a nice 400-goal ceremony for Carter before the game. Maybe that's why the New Jersey game was delayed. Letang had a shot that was saved. Doesn't make any sense, does it? Penguins get a power play. There was a shorthanded chance for Mott. It's killed off. McGinn was denied. Things get kind of slappy after that. A little bit of scrumminess going on there. Gensel with a near miss wide and some pressure. Way too many Penguin shots that first half. So I'm scrolling through these games, and every time I went to the Pittsburgh-Vancouver game, I'm like, wow, that's a really good shot for Pittsburgh. Scroll back. That's a really good shot for... Pittsburgh's getting a lot of really good shots here. So the shots were 13-4 in favor of Pittsburgh with 9 minutes left. We get a power play for the Pens. That's killed off. There were 2 minutes of 4-on-4 after. 9 seconds left. The Penguins get their third power play. So that rolls over into the second period where they score on it. It's rust from Letang and Gensel at 49 seconds. Zucker had a chance, was saved, and yeah, it's just too many prime, fantastic opportunities here for Pittsburgh. To Vancouver's credit, they started getting some shots at this point, but you've given Jari the lead. And then Rodriguez gives him a 2-goal lead on a turnover. Point number 100 for Rodriguez at 7:29. So that makes it 2-0. So Vancouver's getting these opportunities, but they're down by 2. And again, when Jari's got a lead this season, I know what happened in the playoffs last year. I don't think that matters. I think Jari is legit right now. And proved it again today because Vancouver starts getting a lot of opportunities. They weren't going in. So Crosby nearly adds another. The shots are evening up. And again, as I said, Jari making the saves there. Besser gets a couple of chances. He's denied. Besser cannot get that goal right now. It's got to be affecting him, whether he'll say it or he won't, because now he's got 4 goals in 17 games. So he's below a 20-goal rate. Just right. So yeah, that's got to be frustrating. Pens go back to the power play. They don't score on it, but Aston Reese, he ends a long run without a goal from McGinn and Bluger at 15:29. And that's an old 80s trope, which was if a guy came in struggling, hadn't had a goal in 20 games against Vancouver, he will get a goal. Then there was that was on a 2-on-1 after a Pullman turnover. So Tucker Pullman caught in the other end, and they rushed it back, and they get the goal. So we go to the third period with it 3-0 in favor of Pittsburgh. No Canuck shots 8 minutes into the period. So while they played well in the second and the third, they didn't wake up until later in the period. They do end up out shooting Pittsburgh, but that urgency you want to see those first 8 minutes really wasn't there. Penguins press at 9 minutes, and the Canucks looked kind of done. And as soon as I wrote that, they started getting some shots. OEL had a chance, it was kicked out, and then Horvat scores the 1 goal for the Canucks tonight from Shen at 14:52. Canucks pulled the goalie because, sure, why not? And, of course, the empty net is hit by the Penguins. McGinn scores from Bluger and Pettersson at 19 minutes. I debated about whether or not to wear my Teddy Bluger jersey for the review, and I thought, I'll wear Vegas. Your 3 stars are Jarry, McGinn, and Rodriguez. Without Jarry making all those saves in that second period, this game would have been close. But again, moral victories are not victories, so they can't hang their hat on that. And I mean they, as in Vancouver. Shots are 16-9 Pittsburgh in the first, 16-15 Vancouver in the second, and they did outshoot them 12-6 in the third. Final shots are 37 each. Power plays 0 for 1 for Vancouver, 1 for 4 for Pittsburgh. Hits 31-26 for Vancouver. Demko saves 33 out of 36. Jarry saves 36 out of 37. And that being said, we're now done board number 1 with the 6-12-2 Vancouver Canucks and the 9-6-4. Never count them out Penguins. All right, time to change boards. Okay, next up, the Canadians. No trap game here. The trap magnet worked for one of the 2 games that I used it on today. Not so much for this one. Montreal, it continues, right? This slow beginning. Now that we're past the quarter point of the season, it's no longer a slow start. Can't be argued. It's Allen versus Samsonov. Early power play for the Habs. Really strong penalty kill by the Capitals. Clear it out, and they kill it off. And then Dowd scores from Orlov and Jensen not long after that at 3:34. Trevor Van Riemsdyk can't bury one after a Habs turnover. Caps get a power play. They score on it. It's Carlson from Kuznetsov and Ovechkin at 9:43. And they really highlighted just how much time Montreal was giving Kuznetsov tonight, just backing off, give him all the time in the world. I think Kuznetsov was happy about that. I think he enjoyed that. If you're going to back off and just give the guy the ice, might not be the guy you want to be doing that with. McMichael then had a shot that nearly fooled Allen, didn't go in, but Scarbosa had one that went in off Romanov at 14:31. So that's his first of the season. That makes it 3-0. The emotions are going up a bit, and the shots were almost all in favor of the Capitals at this point. And then Evans scores at 18:46 against the flow of play, and it was on a John Carlson turnover. So that makes it 3-1, and you're like, all right, Montreal might have some life as it's 3-1 after the first. But of course, then there's the other 2 periods here. Second period, Suzuki with a net drive. He ends up losing the puck on that. Shots are 2-1 for the Caps 5 minutes into it. Power play for the Habs, that was a no. And then Kuznetsov. He gets a goal from Carlson and Ovechkin at 9:05. Hathaway had a chance that was saved. It looked like maybe there was a goal line save on Caulfield by Samsonov, but on review it shows the puck went in. So Cole Caulfield finally gets his first goal of the year from Drew and Suzuki at 18:54. So if you want to find a positive out of this Montreal fan, maybe this is a sign Caulfield's going to get things going. So yeah, it's 4-2 going to the third. Third period, Weidman defends a Kuznetsov chance, but then 1:49 Wilson from Ovechkin and McMichael. And it was a nice pass by Ovechkin and a really easy goal for Wilson. This is one of those plays where maybe the goalie moves over a little bit too much because he's expecting the shot from Ovechkin and just not much of a chance there anyways. So, yeah, 5-2. Then Orlov scores from Dowd at 5:57. Habs would get a power play, unsuccessful. And then Lehkonen scores from Gallagher and Evans at 17:34. Makes the score 6-3. That's as close as they're going to get. They fall to 5-14-2. The Capitals go to 12-3-5. Impressive record for the Capitals now. Your 3 stars are Dowd, Carlson, and Ovechkin. Your power plays 0 for 3 for Montreal, 1 for 1 for Washington. Hits are 22-20 for Montreal. The shots were 16-5 for Washington in the first, 10 apiece in the second, 13-8 Montreal in the third. Final shots 34-28 for Washington. Allen saves 28 out of 34. Rough night for him. Samsonov saves 25 out of 28. And yeah, there you go. Not really much to add to that other than you can see this entire board that my wife did all the writing of this stuff. So because I was like, I don't have time because all the 7 o'clock games had started. The 7:30 one was getting going. Yeah. So it's first time this has ever happened. So there you go. Next up. Capitals. Blue Jackets, the other team that wears red, white, and blue that's on this board that's not the Rangers. A lot of red, white, and blue on this board. Go America. It's Thanksgiving tomorrow. I'm sure this was planned that way. So the Blue Jackets hosting the Jets. And for the Jets, so I said the other day, it's not the time to panic. This game here, we won't turn the panic all the way up, but maybe have a little bit of panic. So it was Hellebuck versus Merzlikins. Pionk prevents a Columbus goal. Power play then for the Jets. Domi steals one. Near miss wide. Vesalainen fires one high. Ehlers had a rush chance that was saved. Columbus gets a power play. It's unsuccessful. But then Hoffman, who spells his name wrong, from Domi at 15:09. It's just one of those things where when I'm writing it on the board, Hoffman, who plays in Montreal, is 2 Fs and an N. Hoffman, who plays in Columbus, it's 1 F and 2 Ns. And sometimes I forget. So it's 1-0 for Columbus on the strength of the Hoffman goal with 1 F. We go to the second period. Chinakhov not allowed to score in this game. So Chinakhov, we're back into this storyline of how many goals is Chinakhov going to get. Not nearly as many as you think he would when you see the highlight reel of his opportunities. Connor had a net drive that was saved. Bjorkstrand couldn't bury one. DeMello had a chance that was saved. Pionk ends up hitting the post. The Jets go to the power play. Columbus killed it off, and then they pressed after they were finished the penalty kill. Jets not getting much to the net at that stage of the game, like not much that was in close from what I saw there. Columbus presses with 4 minutes left. They protect the lead. It's still 1-0 going into the third. Third period, Wheeler with a net crash in the first minute. A little bit shaky on that. Things get fighty at 2:20. Domi ends up in the box. And this is where Max Domi kind of channels his dad's energy on some of this. Where Svechnikov took some Domi punches. Like, Svechnikov's not going to fight Domi. And then you could see Svech and Domi chirping from the box. So, you know, I'm not sure what was said on the Domi side, but Svech had a smile on his face the whole time, so I guess there's that. So, yeah, the Jets come out of it with a power play because Domi just punched the guy while he was down. That had to be part of it. But it's unsuccessful. And if that power play wasn't going to be successful, I went, well, I guess the Jets don't have it tonight. Columbus gets a turn on the power play. They score on theirs, 6:49. It's Werenski from Voracek and Boquist. So that makes it 2-0. Domi goes right back to the box. So not a great night for Max Domi. That penalty's killed off as well. Jets with the puck control, but Columbus is clearing it. So puck control, sure. Jets have that. They're just not getting the right opportunities. When they do, Elvis is making the saves. Goalie pull with 4 minutes left because they were down by 2. That allows Peak to hit the empty net at 16:27. Columbus wins this one 3-0. They go to 11-6 on the season. The Jets 9-6-4. That is their 4th straight loss. Now, if you want to turn that knob a little bit towards the panic, you absolutely can. 3 stars, Merzlikins, Hoffman, and Werenski. Power plays, the Blue Jackets go 0 for 4, or the Jets go 0 for 4, the Blue Jackets 1 for 3. The hits were 22-8 in favor of Winnipeg, so only 8 hits by Columbus. Guess they didn't need him. Domi probably would have thrown a few, but he was in the box most of the game, from what I saw. Every time I turned back into this game, like, oh, Domi's going back to the box. Cool. The shots were 15-13 Jets in the first, 10-8 Blue Jackets in the second, 13-9 Jets in the third. Final shots 36-32 for Winnipeg. Hellebuck saves 29 out of 31. Merzlikins saves all 36 for the shutout. And there you go. Elvis continues to rack up the wins, the shutouts. He's a pretty good goaltender. Next up, St. Louis and Detroit. So, yeah, this being a trap game. And it's weird, too, because, you know, I picked these two games for the simple reason that Washington was coming back from a long road trip. That can be tough to get up for. Kudos to them for doing it. This one, to me, kind of stood out because the last game, it looked like St. Louis finally was getting it going. And I thought, okay, but they've had some bad games. And are they going to have another one? Turns out Nedeljkovic was going to make them have a bad game. It was Husso versus Nedeljkovic. Early shots were in favor of the Blues, but at 4.5 minutes, the Wings had the advantage 4-2 on that. Blues get a power play. They score on it. It's Buchnevich from Kyrou and Saad at 10-11. That ended a penalty kill streak of 19 in a row that Detroit had killed. And I think it was 17 in a row at home. Parayko had a rush chance that was saved, but Raymond scores from Bertuzzi and Larkin at 13:48. So it's 1-1 after 1. Second period, Larkin would score at 7:45 from Fabry and Leddy. The Larkin line had a very good night tonight. And then there was a weird bounce off the boards after that. Husso had to make the cover on it. O'Reilly had a rush chance that was saved. Zadina was denied in close. The Wings were getting the better zone time at this point in the game, so they're up 2-1, and they're starting to look good. Saad had a chance that was saved. Kyrou had a net feed that was blocked, and then Nedeljkovic made saves after that. Falk's stick died as the Blues pressed. Tarasenko played some keep away, and then the Wings were forced to ice it. But even with all this, it's still 2-1 Detroit after 2 periods. But early in the third, Perron scores from Perunovic and Kyrou at 1 minute and 11 seconds. The Blues then had a 2-on-1 that misfired, and then Detroit breaks the tie again. It's Ernie from Nemesnikov at 4:38. So it's 3-2. The Blues get a power play. They manage 1 shot on that power play. Very good penalty kill by Detroit. Bertuzzi misses 1 wide, but Buchnevich couldn't bury one. They go back to the power play, but the Wings penalty kill again. Comes up very, very well, solid. And yeah, while the Blues power play was cycling it pretty well, Detroit also defended pretty well. Goalie pull by the Blues allows Fabry to get the empty netter at 18:45, and Detroit wins this 4-2. They even the record at 9-9-3. For the Blues, it's a tough loss, 10-7-2, although they had to be happy to see Winnipeg lose, but of course Minnesota won, so Minnesota gets that little bit of a cushion there. 3 stars are Nedeljkovic, Larkin, and Fabry, the former St. Louis Blue. Power plays, St. Louis 1 for 3. Detroit didn't get a power play. Didn't need it. Hits, 15-13 St. Louis. The shots, 11 apiece in the first, 11-3 Blues in the second, and 15-9 Blues in the third. So they outshot them 26-12 in the second and third period and got outscored 3-1. Husso saves 19 out of 22. Nedeljkovic saves 35 out of 37 and continues to show that he was kind of a steal. I still don't understand why Carolina let him go. They've had very good goaltending from Ronta and Anderson. That's worked out for them. It doesn't mean necessarily that it makes any sense to me that Nedeljkovic was available. But he was, and Detroit said, thanks, we could use a goaltender. And here he is. And again, Detroit evening the record at 9-9-3. They're staying in the hunt, and that's really the most you can ask for them right now. Next up, Rangers. So this was an ugly game, and I didn't document everything that was going on in this, because honestly, I could have ignored the other games and just got into all of the chippy ugliness of this game. I can't say for sure that it's going to roll over to the next game because most of the regulars weren't in the Islanders lineup. So I don't know. It might be a completely different makeup the next time these teams play each other. It was Shesterkin versus Varlamov. Varlamov is still winless on the season. I know that Trotz likes to have his rotation. He may have to rethink that now because Sorokin is clearly the better goaltender. So there were 7, of course, Islanders on the protocol list. So they're short, and they've got 3 guys injured. Pajot and Clutterbuck were wearing the A's on their jerseys tonight because of all of the players that are out and needing to have other alternate captains. Rangers get an early power play. There was a shorthanded 2-on-1 that was defended. It's killed off. The Islanders get a turn. That was a no. There was a lot of power plays in this game because it was a chippy game. Referees were trying to keep it under control. Mixed results on that. So, Ledoux had a near miss. The Islanders really needed shots at this point. Parise had a chance that was saved. Zibanejad's denied. Barzal had a net pass that wouldn't go. The Islanders with a 2-on-1. Fox defends it. And then the Islanders get a power play as Fox ends up in the box for that. 53 seconds, then a 4-on-4. There was a shorthanded chance for Cizikas while the Rangers were on the power play. But we come out of the first period with all these power plays, scoreless. Second period, the Rangers, first minute, they get a power play and they score on it. It's Chris Kreider from Strome and Fox at 29 seconds. Kreider couldn't bury another one. The Islanders get a power play. The Islanders then got another power play. The Rangers killed both of those power plays off. Again, it was a very chippy, I know there were incidents in this game kind of thing. And pressed by the Rangers, Martin was blocking there. The Rangers go back to the power play. That's a no. Rooney then scores at 14:28 to make it 2-0 Rangers. The Islanders get a power play. Wallstrom couldn't bury one, and it's killed off. So we go to the third period, and early-ish, Andreoff puts the Islanders on the board from Koivula and Aho at 3:52. So 3 guys called up from the AHL from Bridgeport end up on the board there. And then Rooney scores the second of the game from Reeves at 4:12. The Islanders tried to answer, but Kreider ends up getting that insurance goal to make it 4-1 from Zibanejad and Kakko at 11:02. The Islanders get a power play. Again, this game was just nasty. There were, at that point, I think 10 games going on at the same time. So I just said, this game is ugly and nasty. I'm going to review the goals. I'm going to review that there were a bunch of power plays. And people can talk. We can talk about whatever comes out of this game. If Department of Player Safety wants to do anything about anything in this game, they can do that later. But the final score is 4-1. The Rangers go to 12-4-3. The Islanders 5-9-2. And it just, we're already at a point where the math for the Islanders to make the playoffs is getting tough. The 3 stars in this one, Kreider, Rooney, and Reeves. The power plays, the Rangers went 1 for 5. The Islanders went 0 for 6. Hits were 31-23 in favor of the Islanders. The shots, not a lot actually. 8 apiece in the first, 8-7 Islanders in the second, and 6-5 Rangers in the third. Both teams had 21 shots. Shesterkin saves 20 out of 21. Varlamov saves 17 out of 21. And again, I think Shesterkin needs to play some more games, or Sorokin needs to play some more games. And we'll see what happens with the Islanders from here. But it's a mess, and we'll see what happens with them going forward. But anyways, let's go ahead and move on to the next board. And we've reached the short board, the one that I've actually got to add something to. There, now that's been added. And this board, I didn't ask my wife to add anything to it. I just wanted her to take that other one away from me. So, before I threw it out the window. Vegas in against Nashville tonight. Interesting game, right? Nashville coming off a good game. Vegas has had their up moments and their down moments. Well, tonight was really an interesting one for Vegas. Leonard versus Saros, early puck control for the Predators. No Vegas shots in the first 5 minutes of this game, and I thought, well, Vegas has had some, they're 500 on the road, as I mentioned in the standings video I did today, and, these things happen, and Nashville needs the win and all that stuff. But the shots evened up, and both goaltenders were sharp. Pressed by Vegas with 8 minutes left. Then there was a Vegas power play that became a 4-on-4. Stevenson ends up scoring in the final minute of the period from Stone at 19-12. So it's one of those key late goals, right? And it's one of those ones Vegas, traditionally, in their 5th season now, they get these. Second period, Ronbjerg scores at 3:01 on a turnover as post and in, so no chance for Saros on that. Predators get a power play. That was a no. And then in the second half of the period, Adam Brooks gets his first goal of the season, and it's his first goal as a Vegas Golden Knight from Kolasar and Janmark at 11-11. Predators get another power play. Forsberg scores. Vegas challenges it, and it's no goal. Fans weren't happy about that. What can you do? It comes off the board. Predators press trying to get it back with 2:16 left, however. Vegas gets a power play. And then there's some power play stuff going on there. We go to the third period. After everything's all killed off, the Predators get an early power play. That was a no. Shots are 5-1 for Vegas at 5 minutes. Forsberg would score from Duchesne at 5:20, and that was a fast break goal. And you get the feeling like, okay, Forsberg gets that goal taken off the board. Now he gets this one back. Maybe. Just maybe the momentum has swung. Predators get, like, they were going for another to the point where they draw a power play. So, again, you're waiting for it. And then Pietrangelo scores shorthanded from Stevenson at 8:04. And it was a snapshot. First shorthanded goal of the season allowed by the Nashville Predators. Forsberg would get that back, however, at 13:51 on their next power play from Yossi and Johansson. So, yeah, they make it a 2-goal game. The Predators would press for another. They end up pulling the goaltender. Stone gets his first goal of the season from Pacioretty, who made his return tonight at 18:08. And Vegas wins this one 5-2. They go to 12-8. And for Nashville, they drop to 10-8-1. So with this win, combined with what happens over here, just doing the math, Vegas is now in a playoff spot in the Pacific. 3 stars, Stevenson, Forsberg, and Pietrangelo. Shots 11-9 Vegas in the first, 13-10 Vegas in the second, 11-9 Vegas in the third. Final shots 35-28 for Vegas. Power plays, Vegas goes 0 for 2 because their power play sucks. Nashville 1 for 6. Don't take offense, it just does. Some power plays do indeed suck. Vancouver, for instance, same thing. Hits were 23-6 for Nashville. I am always surprised at how few hits Vegas gets now. We'll see if that affects them come playoff time, but it definitely looks like we may see playoff time now. So Leonard saves 26 out of 28. Very good. Saros saves 30 out of 34. And the goals I saw were basically just wired. So some nights a goaltender doesn't get a very good save percentage, and it's really not his fault. But yeah, so Vegas comes out of Nashville with a win. They needed that, and they got it. Next up, it feels like the wheels are starting to fall off for the Anaheim Ducks. It really does. Tonight's game is a good example of this. So you've got the fast-charging Colorado Avalanche. You've got we won 8 in a row, now we've lost 2 in a row, we got to turn it around Anaheim Ducks. It's Gibson versus Kemper. There was a near miss by the Ducks early. We then got a fight between Delorier and McDermott. Pretty good tilt there. Milano ends up scoring on the power play from Raquel and Drysdale at 4:58. So Anaheim gets a power play and they score on it, because that's what Anaheim does now. It's really, really bizarre. I put the wrong team in. You guys all know. Kemper loses a blade. That's important. Kemper loses a blade. He lost a blade in the last game. Darcy Kemper, you've got to start paying more for your skates. And you can't use duct tape. If I get the feeling maybe he's watched some Red Green and he might be using duct tape to keep his blades in. That's not going to work, because we'll talk about it. So Avs get a power play. That was a no. The shots are 6-3 for the Ducks at the half. Strong second half though for the Avalanche. Shot block stings Raquel, and then Makar scores in the final minute. Another one of those final minute goals from Kadri at 19:06. Nazem Kadri's off to the best start of his career. And I think the question we can ask is, so with those line mates, is that what makes McKinnon so deadly? Because Kadri looks kind of like McKinnon right now, just a little bit more of an edge there. So second period, blade falls off again. Yeah, Kemper's ready to go back in the net, and he loses a blade on his skate again. So 3 times in 2 games, he's lost a blade on his skate. Get new skates. Get some new ones. If he was around here, I'd say go to Canadian Tire or go to Sport Check. But I'm sure there's a Dick's Sporting Goods near the arena somewhere. He can get a skate. He might be able to get 2. I don't know that they sell them as singles, because I'm pretty sure he's lost the same blade off the same skate 3 times. But anyways, so yeah, Johansson goes in the net, and he's in there for the rest of the night. First minute Avs power play. He has good skates. I'm surprised Kemper didn't just say, well, can I wear yours? So Newhook scores from Taves and Jost at 2:49. So that's after the power play's done. Newhook has looked good since his recall. Goal line stand then on O'Connor by Gibson. Avs get a power play. They don't score on that, and Obe Kubel would score shortly after the midway mark to make it 3-1 for Colorado. So Anaheim scored first, and then Colorado just charged back. Megna and Murray with the assists on that one. So Obe Kubel fitting in R8 with the Colorado Avalanche. Ducks then get a power play. That was a no. Jost fires one wide with 25.2 seconds left. The Avs get a power play. And then like 5 seconds after that, it becomes a 5-on-3. I think it was Kadri, too, who had the puck, realized it was a delayed penalty, and gives it to the Ducks. There's nothing more frustrating for me. Well, there might be a few things, but one of the most frustrating things with hockey is when it's going to be a 5-on-3 and the team doesn't hand it off. Hand it off immediately. Give them the puck. Take that 5-on-3. Because then at 57 seconds of the third period, Kadri scores during the 5-on-3 from Rantanen and Landeskog. So the Ducks kill off the rest of it, the 5-on-4, but now they're down 4-1. And the math is getting really dodgy, so I've already put the records up there at that point. The Avs then go right back to the power play. They don't score on that. Terry had a chance that was saved. The Ducks press with 6.5 minutes left. Johansson stayed because his skates work. Nichushkin then scores from Burakovsky and Johnson at 15:22. The Ducks would get a power play. They would score on it as Milano with his second power play goal of the game from Drysdale and Zegras at 16:07. And that's as close as Anaheim gets. They lose 5-2. They drop to 10-7-3 with the loss. Colorado 10-5-1. Don't look now. They're winning all the games they should against the teams they should be able to defeat. And it's like I said early in the season, their record wasn't very good, but they were playing some of the best teams in hockey, and eventually that evens out. So your 3 stars are Kadri, Landeskog, and Johansson. Johansson comes in and plays well. Your shots, 11-8 Colorado in the first, 17-5 Colorado in the second, 13-8 Anaheim in Anaheim in the third. I almost said Arizona, see? Because I wrote ARI up there. I took the RI off, just left the A, but still my brain's going, that was Arizona. Final shots, 36-26 Colorado. Power plays 2 for 3 for the Ducks, not the Coyotes. 1 for 7 for Colorado. Hits 18-14 Colorado. Gibson saves 31 out of 36. Kemper only saved 5 out of 6. Then his blades decided they were done. They're out of there. And Johansson saves 19 out of 20. So pretty good in relief. And that ends the short board. Let's go to the fourth board of the night. Okay, so Oilers in Arizona. Here we go. This almost became a trap game. This was close. This game ended up being a lot closer than I think the Oilers had figured it would be. Koskinen versus Wedgwood. First minute chances by the Coyotes. And they would score first. It's Keller from Kessel at 3:45. Then the Coyotes get a power play right after. So I'm watching this going, how does this work? What's going on? The Oilers, because I said in the preview this morning, I'm like, the Oilers aren't going to get trapped by Arizona. They're going to be so mad about last night. Pressed by the Oilers, then draws a power play. It was unsuccessful. But Edmonton's power play would start to click later on. Shots are 10-6 for the Coyotes at the half. Kessel fires one wide. We get another power play for the Coyotes. Things get scrummy behind the Oilers' net during that. Then, after the power play's done, there was a post for Kassian as the Oilers pressed. The Oilers get a power play, and they score on this one. So they're 1 for 2 on this, with McDavid scoring from Draisaitl and Puljujarvi at 14:58. The Oilers go back to the power play. That third power play was unsuccessful. So we go to the second period. The shots are 4-2 for the Oilers at 4 minutes. Draisaitl had a chance that was saved. Wedgwood is the reason this game's tied. Really, seriously, played really, really well. Draisaitl, though, would score just after the halfway mark at 10:53 from Kassian and Ceci. Kassian was put on a line with Draisaitl and McDavid in this game, and it worked. And it does. For certain periods of time, Kassian's able to do that. I can still remember in Vancouver, there were times where he was paired with the Sedins, and it would work for enough time that fans would suggest it later on. Like, hey, put Kassian back with them and see what he can do. So yeah, the Oilers then were in control with the lead. There was very little time for the Coyotes in the Oilers' end during that period. Third period, the Oilers pick up where they left off. So they press at 2 minutes. McDavid had a net drive that was blocked out. The Coyotes, though, getting pinned down. There was a post for McDavid, and then Foegele couldn't bury one. But Kassian does. He scores from Draisaitl and McDavid at 7:45. So with that goal to make it 3-1, McDavid is the 4th fastest player to reach 400 assists behind Gretzky, Lemieux, and Paul Stastny. Stastny's the easy one to forget on that list. If you're young, I'm not, so I remember Stastny well. Kassian was then denied after that. Oilers press with 9 minutes left. They get themselves a power play and they score on it. So they go 2 for 4 tonight. Draisaitl with the power play marker from McDavid and Barrie at 13:08. So that's 401 assists for McDavid. Benson then nearly gets his first goal, but he doesn't. But then at 13:43, puck goes the other way. Boyd scores from Chychrun and Capobianco at 13:43. And then, after a pretty good press by the Coyotes, Gostisbehere scores from Keller and Strawman at 15:06. Suddenly, it's 4-3. There's no business for the Arizona Coyotes to be in this game. Edmonton's played very, very well. They've bounced back from whatever happened in Dallas, and here we go. The Oilers put the McDavid line out right away, and then the Coyotes stole it from him and went pressed for the tie. So you didn't see that coming. Goalie gets pulled with 1:15 left. There's an empty net goal. They checked it right away. Was it offside? It was not. McDavid hits the empty net. Kassian with the assist at 19:32. So Kassian gets 3 points tonight. I think he only had 5 in the whole season coming into this. So, yeah, that helps him out a lot. Arizona with the 5-3 loss dropped to 4-14-2. The Oilers drop. They now move up to 14-5. Very good game for them. They avoid the dreaded trap. Draisaitl, McDavid, and Keller are your 3 stars in this one. Shots are 14-13 Edmonton in the first, 14-6 Oilers in the second, 16-8 Oilers in the third. Final shots 44-27 for Edmonton. Power plays 2 for 4 for Edmonton, 0 for 2 for Arizona. Hits 22-19 for Arizona. Koskinen, 24 saves on 27 shots. Wedgwood, 39 saves on 43 shots. And I know he allowed 4 goals. Honestly, I would have been fine with him being one of the stars because he's the reason this game stays close for as long as it did. The Oilers were the much better team through most of this game, minus the minute and a half here in the third period where Arizona went, well, we could try to win it. And then they almost did. That would have been bonkers. Next up, Toronto. This was an interesting one in that it's Campbell against Quick. So it's the master and the student, right? Campbell versus Quick and the Cylons. The Cylon helmets, the silver helmets. Don't do it. Just, I don't understand the Cylon helmets. I think they look weird. Early Leafs power play. Kampf gets shaken up. He would leave the game. He does not return. So we'll see how long he's out for. Kerfoot would score after it was done from Kasha and Simmons at 4:30. The Kings would get a power play. It then becomes a 4-on-4. Everything gets killed off. The shots are 10-3 for the Leafs at the half with the 1-0 lead. Engvall has a chance to deflect wide. Kings had a power play then with 4 seconds left, so that rolls over into the second period, and they score on it early in the second. At 1:21, it's Arvidsson from Dursey and Kopitar. Sean Dursey, for people who've been watching my AHL videos, I mentioned I was really impressed with Dursey in Ontario, and he played really well tonight. We'll see if he can keep that up. Leafs tried to answer, Quick making saves, but he can't save them all. Engvall scores from Simmons and Sandin at 3:19, and it was on a rush after the Kings had a rush. So it was one of those ones where, that doesn't go in, and then the rush is the other way, and it's in the net. So Kings would try to answer, so there's rush chances, and then Tavares scores to make it 3-1 from Nylander and Brody at 5:26. It was a perfect tip by Tavares. Nothing Jonathan Quick could have done on that one. Engvall, his line then pressed after. Muzzin defended a chance for Danault, and then it's Matthews getting on the board from Tavares at 13:16. The Leafs get another power play. That was their third. That would also be their final. And they score on this one. Spezza from Sandin and Engvall at 15:36. This is right around where Brendan Lemieux loses it on the bench. I think he smashed his stick, and you just kind of move everybody away from him. And yeah, that's, as the announcer said, that's the kind of energy the coach would like to see taken out on the ice and used to try to maybe, get them back in the game. Sorry, I started choking there. I don't know why I'm not wearing a Canucks jersey. So we go to the third period. If you can't laugh about it, you're not really a fan. So 5-1 going into the third period. Ritchie couldn't bury one in the third because he's not allowed to. Brody had a chance to was defended, and then Bunting. Bunting gets one. It goes off Danault skating in, and he kind of about it. Sandin and Matthews with the assists at 3:59. I mentioned in my preview this morning, Sandin I thought should have more points. Must have heard me. There were some of them that I think heard me because they ended up on the board tonight. Quick was still in the net, which kind of surprised me. I thought they would put Cal Peterson in after that 6th goal. Dursey had a chance. Matthews blocks that. With 4:27 left, the Kings get a power play. They needed 5. Well, they got 1. Dursey gets his first NHL goal. Nice goal, too, from Arvidsson and Kempe at 16:07. And he celebrated the way you should when you're down 6-2. He didn't celebrate much at all. So Toronto wins this one 6-2. They go to 14-6-1. The Kings humiliated at home, the same as they humiliated Toronto at home. So this season series is done. The Kings drop to 8-8-3. That winning streak is now kind of forgotten. The 3 stars are Sandin, Matthews, and Dursey, who had been Toronto property, was traded in the Jake Muzzin trade. Shots 15-10 Toronto in the first, 13-12 LA in the second, 11-9 Toronto in the third. Final shots 38-32 for the Leafs. Power plays 1 for 3 for Toronto, 2 for 3 for LA. The hits 16-10 Toronto. Campbell 30 saves on 32 shots. Quick saves 32 out of 38. It's an ugly line for Quick. I don't really put it on him, but yeah, rough night overall. All right, moving on. Carolina. This is where the trap magnet should have gone again, I guess. And, I mean, really, Seattle's been playing well. We're finally starting to see the results when they get the goaltending. They've been out-chancing teams, out-shooting teams. They've had really good puck possession numbers. They just weren't getting saves. Now they're getting the saves, and they're winning some games here. So it's Anderson versus Grubauer. Seattle presses early. Soucy had a chance that was saved. Shots are 4-2 at the half in favor of Seattle, which is not that unusual, but they're also not behind at this stage. Kotkaniemi was denied the Canes press. Power play for Seattle, but a really strong penalty kill from the Canes kills that off. And then with a minute and a half left, roughly, at 18:32, Brendan Smith scores from D'Angelo. So that makes it 1-0 Carolina after 1. So really decent period by Seattle overall, neutralizing some of that attack from Carolina, but they're behind. Second period. Early press by the Canes. Soucy and Trocheck collided. There wasn't anybody at fault on this. This is one of those blind collisions, which are more dangerous because you don't brace yourself for it. So it winded Soucy, but he was all right on the bench. He was laughing off. Just it seemed to wind him. But again, those can be the most dangerous ones because you're not braced for it and you're just colliding with somebody at like 30 kilometers an hour. Power play then for Seattle. If I go use a conversion chart. I don't know. Like 30 kilometers an hour. So Slavin ends up in the box. Yeah, Slavin. I think that's his 3rd penalty this year. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say he's probably not going to get the Lady Byng this year because he's taking penalties. He's had 3 now in 18 games. That's not much for a defenseman, but for Slavin, it's a lot. So he ends up in the box, and there was a shorthanded chance for Stahl that was saved and held on to. But during that power play at 4:16, Jared McCann, he scores from Vince Dunn, ties up the game. Blackwell then had a net drive that was stopped. Canes get a power play. It is unsuccessful. Niederreiter's denied. The Canes would press with 1.5 minutes left. So it's 1-1 going into the third. And I keep thinking, well, Seattle probably loses this, but at least they kept it close. At least there's a respectability in keeping the best team in the league from running out of the building. Third period, Slavin had a rush chance that goes high. Seattle gets a power play. Donskoy takes a penalty during that, so we get 4-on-4 for 43 seconds. Everything gets killed off in part because Grubauer is there to make the saves when Carolina gets the chances. At the half, Seattle gets a power play. Really solid penalty kill by the Canes. Gets rid of that. And then Johansson scores at 16:52 unassisted. Anderson screened. He didn't see it. And it's 2-1 with 3:08 left. And I was a little bit surprised. Considering all the games that were on tonight, me having the ability to be surprised me. So they pulled the goaltender with 1 minute left. The nice thing for Seattle was they kept it in Carolina's end a lot after that, and they made sure that they couldn't pull the goaltender until there was 1 minute left. I think Anderson would have come out with 2 minutes left, and they would have had that much more time, 6-on-5, and they might have tied it. Seattle wins 2-1. So a regulation loss drops Carolina to 14-3-1. Seattle goes to 6-12-1 with the win. I mean, it's not great, but they're right up there with Vancouver now, aren't they? So your 3 stars are Johansson, Grubauer, and Anderson. Shots 9-7 Carolina in the first, 16-9 Carolina in the second, 11-6 Carolina in the third. Final shots 36-22 for Carolina. Power plays 0-2 for Carolina. 1-4 for Seattle. Hits 26-17 for Seattle. Anderson saves 20 out of 22, and Grubauer saves 35 out of 36 at the other end. So kudos to Seattle. I thought about wearing a Seattle jersey, but I wore a Seattle jersey for the last time they won a game, which was their previous game. So break up the Seattle Kraken. They're moving up that board I'm looking at right there. They move up with this result. Pretty good. All right, last game of the night. Ottawa and San Jose. The Erik Karlsson Cup, right? Or the Rudolph Balcers Cup. The Balcers Cup. Sure, why not? So Murray versus Reimer in this one. Sharks forecheck early. Murray stops a Vlasic chance. And then Nieto gets his first goal of the year from LeBanc and Karlsson at 7:16. So Erik Karlsson does well with producing points against Ottawa. There's some motivation there for him, I do believe. Sharks get a power play. That was a no. And then Josh Norris scores from Tkachuk and Thompson at 13:38. Lassie Thompson. So while Ottawa's off to this rough start to the season, Lassie Thompson's looked pretty good. While Bernard Docker was the one that has all the hype about him, and he may still end up being the better defenseman. Right now, Thompson's looked pretty good. So it's 1-1 after 1. Early in the second period, Hurdle scores from Meyer and Ferraro at 37 seconds. The Senators then go right onto the power play not long after. That's killed off. So the Senators get another power play. That was killed off as well. Connor Brown crashes into the boards. He was okay, as you would see, because he's on the board with a goal later on. Spoiler alert and all that. Murray then saves a Meyer chance. The next one nearly gets in. Meyer didn't cover it, or Murray didn't cover it. Murray thought he had it, and he didn't. So he tries to argue with the ref, and the ref is like, you didn't have it. So that's why I didn't blow the whistle. The idea that if a goalie thinks he has it, the referee has to blow the whistle, I think that rule would cause some ripples in the NHL. Barabanov is denied. Sharks get a power play. We end up with 1 minute and 14 seconds of 4-on-4. Tkachuk scores a goal here from Shabbat and Zub at 14:38. Now, I don't think Tkachuk had a fight in this one tonight, but he had enough penalty minutes for it to qualify as a fight. So it's almost a Gordie Howe hat trick. It's not. It's not a Gordie Howe hat trick. So Connor Brown then adds one from Shabbat and Stützle at 16:11. So a period where San Jose had been up 2-1, all of a sudden it's 3-2 in favor of Ottawa. They're doing the same thing they did in Colorado, just all of a sudden goals, and they're in the lead. 1 minute and 8 seconds left. Sharks get a power play, and it's Bonino. Nick Bonino was playing game number 700 in his career tonight, and this is his first goal of the season, his first goal as a Shark, and it is so overdue. So he gets the goal from Meyer and Couture at 19:29, and again, another one of those, he's not allowed to have a goal jokes in my reviews. It ends, but I'm glad for Bonino. We go to the third period. First minute, Tkachuk's back in the box because that's where he belongs. Sharks then get a 10-second power play because it becomes a 4-on-4 after they take a penalty too. Tierney with a rush chance fires high. Everything gets killed off because they're only 10-second power plays. Physical, cranky game for these two teams. A lot of crankiness in these games tonight. Pressed by the Sharks, and during that, they score. It's Timo Meier from Balcers and Vlasic at 11 minutes and 18 seconds. Couture was originally given the secondary assist. They changed that to Vlasic after. Senators were getting some zone time at this point, but they really needed more shots. They needed more really good opportunities. Ennis with a wraparound, that was saved. The goaltender gets pulled with 1 minute and 45 seconds left. Logan Couture hits it at 18:56. He stole that from Chabot in the Senator zone, puts it in. 4 minor penalties for Tkachuk. He took a 4th minor penalty in the last minute of the game. So that's 8 minutes in penalties. Middleton hits the empty net after that with his first NHL goal from Cogliano and Erik Karlsson in 1928. So Karlsson with another assist. And so for San Jose, the score gets kind of ugly. They win 6-3. They go to 10-8-1 with the victory. Ottawa drops to 4-12-1. And again, they're a point behind Arizona. They're 32nd in the NHL standings. 3 stars are Meier, Chabot, and Bonino. Chabot, he plays till his skates fall off. Not the blades. The blades fall off of Kemper's skates. His skates fall off. The shots, I don't mean that literally, of course. The shots were 12-11 Ottawa in the first, 13-11 Ottawa in the second, 7-4 San Jose in the third. They did a good job of shutting it down in the third. Final shots, 29 apiece. Power plays 0 for 4 for Ottawa, 1 for 5 for San Jose. The hits, 24-17 in favor of Ottawa. Murray saves 23 out of 27. Reimer saves 26 out of 29. And Reimer in his victories, he doesn't normally get goal support. Tonight he gets a bunch. So he's got to be happy about that. And there you go. We're done. So let me know your thoughts in the comments section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.